Incoming transmission.
What is up, everybody? We missed you. It was 2 weeks too long. GSL Codas is back. I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is State. And we are going to be going into the round of 8 here of the GSL Codas.
Yeah, it's been a long break for ESL SC2 Masters, man.
Yeah.
2 weeks off, I think, is one of the longest breaks we've ever had in the middle of a GSL season. A GSL season that's already been progressing with one group stage per week.
Yes.
So it feels like this thing just keeps getting longer and longer, but you're absolutely right, man. I am happy to be back. It's been a minute here at GSL.
It's been a little bit. Excellent work over there in Dallas. I'm happy to be back jumping into GSL Codas. We have a very Terran-heavy group today.
Yeah, 3 Terrans and 1 Zerg, soO, who after fighting back from military service for so long to get into the top 8, has been rewarded with a group with Maru, Kira, and ByuN, which is just an absolute killer, man.
Yeah. Now, sometimes when we have a guy who's like the only Zerg or the only Terran or the only Protoss in a group where everybody else is one race, sometimes we say that's an advantage because they just have one matchup to study, but I don't know if that's really applicable here now.
Yeah, I feel like it normally would be, but in this case with soO, when you're going up against 3 Terrans that all play kind of differently, I mean, Maru's the best defensive player we've ever had in StarCraft 2's history. Yeah. He's like the Turtle Terran. He is the best Terran of all time, and this is just what he does. And then you also have players like ByuN, who are just kind of crazy. We'll go with Proxy 2-Rax, we'll go 2-Rax Reaper and make 5 Reapers out of them or do some crazy timings. And then Kira, who kind of can do anything. It's going to be tough for soO to prepare.
So, guys, if you want to support the GSL, this is the way to do it. We are crowdfunded now. We appreciate it. We love you guys. You can donate to the Patreon or by using Star Balloons. But this is the way it is, man.
Yeah, you get some cool rewards, too. I don't know exactly what the tiers are, but
we had
some number of Star
Balloons.
Yeah.
Behind-the-scenes interviews.
Photos and stuff like that, too. But honestly, just the replays alone are worth it if you want to play or watch the game in a bit more of a studious fashion. It's a good way to do it.
So this is where our final is going to be, everybody. By the way, the date has been moved. It's going to be on April 11th, which I believe is a Saturday. I'm actually going to just check on my phone. Make sure I'm not telling you the wrong thing here.
Yeah, you see right there, though, on the screen. And we actually have a lot of on-site audience and
Thursday,
raffle events.
Excuse me.
Yeah, there we go. But ticket sales go on Friday, April 6th.
I see.
That's
okay.
the confusion. But yeah, a lot of giveaways. Of course, make sure you get the tickets as soon as possible. The link's right there on your screen. Make sure you type that in. And the giveaways are really cool. We're going to have GSL caps, tumblers, cups, a GSL umbrella.
It says the date is April 11th, 2024. How's that possible? We're past April.
Wait, let me get my calendar out.
April was 2 months ago.
Wait.
What is happening right now?
All right, we got to get this double checked,
All right,
actually.
I need a production to tell me the correct dates here, because, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I believe it's the 27th, isn't it? But, at this point now, I'm afraid to say.
Hold on, I'm going to check. All right. Guys, we're off to a great start here.
I almost feel like this is like for
GSL.
Season 1 or something instead of the Season 2 finals info. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Anyways, guys, it is going to be at Splex Center. We literally had a meeting 10 minutes before the show started to confirm that. The Splex Center, if you came to other Africa TV events, that's where we did Valorant last year.
Yeah, we'll get confirmation on exactly when the ticket sale dates are going to be and the dates of the semifinals and finals. Coming here in a minute, but the giveaways in the on-site raffle still exactly the same. You're going to want to show up, get some of those goodies as we look here at the round of 8, Group A. That's what we're playing today. Maru, soO, Kira, and ByuN. soO is going to have to run the gauntlet to try and make it to the semifinals.
Group B is going to be a lot of fun. 2 Protosses and 2 Zergs, Hero Creator, DRG, and Dark.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. And we see right here, semifinals and finals, so June 29th.
June 29th is when the finals is going to be.
On a Saturday, not a Thursday.
Saturday, not on a Thursday. Sorry, I apologize, guys. That graphic was wrong.
It was a little confusing.
That they showed up there. Yeah, I was like, no, it's in April. And in my mind, I'm like, we're in the summer. April already happened. Anyways, yeah, this is going to be fun. By the way, I kind of welcome these lopsided groups. let's get hardcore into some matchups, very specific, and then see who we've got coming out here in the Final Four.
Yeah, I think Maru is basically a shoo-in to make it to the finals out of this group. His TBT has just been the best in the business for so long, and I don't really think soO can rival him in ZVT. At this point for Maru, I feel like maybe only soO can beat him in ZVT, and as we saw in Dallas, it seems like soO kind of has Maru figured out, but for every other Zerg in the world, it is an almost insurmountable feat, as this guy just came back from 2nd place at the SC2 Masters and is now looking for his 9th GSL trophy.
It's crazy. Might break GSL. Are you allowed to win 10? I don't know.
Double digits is insane.
So, obviously the clear favorite, not just in this matchup, but in this group. In Korea, Maru is still king. But let's see how soO does. soO has had some pretty good performances since being back from the military over the last couple of seasons. It does seem like he has never really managed to get back to where he was. So soO had the possibility of actually, for his era, being the GOAT, being the greatest. He could have. He has 6 second-place titles. He could have had 6 first-place titles. And look, I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but he basically got to the finals that many times and didn't make it. And so he is definitely one of the greatest players of all time, but never really got past that final, meter to get to the finish line. At least as far as GSL is concerned. And since he's been back, he's been good, but he's not able to kind of get into the finals again and try to make it.
Yeah, that's going to be tough if he wants to make it to the finals again, going up against Maru for the first round of this group as we see the maps loading in. Site Delta, Oceanborn, Alcyone, so nothing too crazy here. Kind of your typical fare of GSL maps in the best of 3s. They've been very plain vanilla over the course of this entire season. We haven't had many gold-based maps just yet. I guess we're getting ready to kick this one off, Tails, as the map is loading up. Maru versus soO to start the round of 8 Group A. Let's begin.
Okay, in the bottom right, we've got Maru. In the top left, we've got soO.
Yeah, soO, by the way, formerly of Team DKZ. I think they have rebranded officially to, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but Weibo. It's like one of the Chinese, Chinese companies, Chinese websites. Not sure exactly the pronunciation, but if you're wondering exactly what's going on with that.
Oh, yes. You've got the hot 6 and everything. GSL.
soO,
what? What?
The GOAT's Maru? Oh, boy, let's not get into this again.
Right. Somewhere Artosis just rolled over in his sleep.
It's actually Rogue!
It's Rogue!
Nobody knows what they're talking about, Tasteless!
What does that say? IP re-Terran?
IPR Terran? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's like, so he's trying to write RIP Terran, but he's just like sick.
Oh, yeah. There's RIP and an exclamation point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
You'll have another chance to make a sign. We might be able to figure it out in the next one. By the way, that discussion with the GOAT, I will say this.
Fun.
Well, it's funny because how many people have lost their minds. It's probably the best article Team Liquid has done in a long time.
Beyond a doubt. And I honestly think if they had put soO as the GOAT, it would have been too much of a no-brainer. It would have never had the controversy of the discussion that we had by putting Maru as #1, because there are good arguments to be made for both Maru being the GOAT and soO being the GOAT.
Well, also, I think when you're looking at an English language forum, I think there's going to be more bias and fandom to soO, right?
You would think so, but there's so many diehard fans of just specifically the Korean StarCraft 2 scene. I mean, I remember even back when I was a player, going back from 2010 to 2016, how I wouldn't even watch really any of the foreigner matches unless it was somebody like Huck or Naniwa or Stefano playing.
Right.
You know, you would mostly just watch the Korean matches because back then that's where the skill was. But in StarCraft 2 these days, it is a lot more global. I would still say that GSL, in terms of density of skill, is the best in the world in terms of the tournament, just bar none. But the best player in the world right now, beyond any doubt, is soO. He is in Europe, as almost catching this
I'd
replay.
say right now, yeah. I think the argument can be made. Like, I get it for Maru, for sure. I think the easiest way to ameliorate that whole thing would be like if soO just came and won a GSL and left. And it's like, all right,
peace out, nerds.
Because that actually debunks a lot of the arguments, because GSLs are such different tournaments, right? With different lineups.
The thing is, I feel like soO would do really well in a GSL-style tournament format because he seems like one of the foreigners that is the best in the world at preparing. By the way, these Reapers actually getting some pretty good damage on that first queen.
Yeah, I kind of was not going to remark on this, but these Reapers are doing pretty well. I think he can keep zoning with the grenades if he wants to. He's got another Reaper coming up.
Oh, this is going to be bad for soO. He cannot actually contest this.
He's going to lose his
Speed is
queen.
not done just yet. That first queen goes down. Second queen taking a ton of damage. The Lings are basically just trying to be a meat shield at this point. 12 more Lings in production because that's the only way soO can really save this hatch. So much damage getting done. That second queen's going to fall any second now, Tasteless.
Oh, okay. He drops one Reaper, kills off a queen, and dude, he's so good. He bails with the 3 Reapers, knowing that he needs to get these back home immediately. That's crazy. So he killed 9 Lings, 2 queens, and only lost 1 Reaper.
Yeah, that's insane. And I mean, soO had to make those Lings basically. He didn't know how many more Reapers were going to follow up. If there's a 5th Reaper, if that 4th Reaper survives, then suddenly your 3rd hatchery is under threat. And so a pretty big word discrepancy going in the favor of Maru here to start things out. soO also producing 3 queens at this time in the game when he would much rather be trying to boom up a little bit better. Painful start here for soO, and behind it, Maru has been playing so greedy. He went for one of the fastest 3rd command centers you could possibly do as Terran. soO does scout that. Double engineering bay follow-up coming as well here for Terran. So, and Maru really firing on all cylinders to start this one out, but
yeah, really good start here from Maru. I kind of thought we weren't going to have any more moments like this. The little Reaper skirmish with the queens has been so commonplace now. Is he going to get that Reaper? Yeah, he should have surround there.
It's a slippery Reaper. He wants the Hellions.
Yeah, he's going big.
A good catch. I think Maru might be a little bit surprised at exactly how many Lings there are on the map right now.
Well, those are definitely Lings that were made after the fact. When the Reapers are clearly going to be gone.
Almost a good surround there for soO.
Yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a trade, if anything. But yeah, I was just going to say, I didn't feel like we're going to have that many more fights with that. I felt like that was going to kind of get solved and become not interesting, but here we are in this game, and we did have a double queen kill there at the start, which is pretty massive. I mean, that really trips Zerg up quite a bit.
I feel like Site Delta among all the maps is probably the map where we're going to see this the most, just because the 3rd base is so far away. You have to go down the natural ramp and then up the ramp into either 3rd base if you want to secure it. So it lends itself really well to these kind of Reaper openings and getting big damage done as Terran is now powering up. Starport just now finishing. Armory also about halfway done, so 2-2. Probably going to be the timing that Maru looks for to get damage done. I wouldn't be surprised if he did some double drop play as soon as the first 2 medevacs come out, but in terms of overall aggression, I think Maru is probably going to be leaning a little bit more towards 2-2 as a timing, especially considering soO's only just now throwing down the evolution chambers. There's going to be some late upgrades for soO here, Tasteless.
Yeah, it's going to probably be one of these games where the pressure's really going to be on the Zerg here. I mean, every game, obviously, Terran pushes out and tries to see what they can get done, and sometimes is driven back and sometimes gets stuff done. But I just do feel like seeing soO limp into this phase of the game, I think the 4th base is going to be extra vulnerable. And so this push is going to be a little bit scary here. We've got the 2 medevacs scooping up the infantry, and it looks like that's actually making a beeline right through the middle of the map. He does have the Hellions, and I think it's, 2 Reapers, clearing out some of the creep tumors, and I think he just wants to do a straight-up push right over here.
Yeah, he's actually not even starting 2-2, so the Armory is just for the Hellbats right here, and I don't know if soO's going to have enough to hold on. Tasteless Marine stepping forward with 1-1 already complete. There's just nothing but Lings to defend here for soO, and I think Maru just might run over this position.
Yeah, I don't know that he can recover. He's going to go right into diving onto the drones here. The queens are coming out. This is a lot of damage. The Hellbats are sustaining. They've got enough HP to kind of still be part of this fight. GG, that's going to be at Maru. Kind of winning almost like it was a ladder game.
Yeah, that was
kind of
insane.
like when you got a couple builds you run as Terran and you're like, well, if I do this and they're not ready for it, I win. You don't always intend to close the game out like that, but that was what we got with Maru versus soO.
Yeah, the way the build was lining up, I was looking at for Maru with the Armory timing. I was like, well, that lines up with 2-2 getting started. That's probably going to be where he's going to be able to do his killer pushes. But I guess soO just limited in the mid game with so much damage. I wasn't expecting that push to be able to kill him, but he had nothing to defend except Lings and just a handful of queens, no upgrades to speak of. And Maru, just like a bulldozer, runs over the army. It just squishes soO into nothingness.
Yeah.
It's a Zerg pancake there at the 3rd base, and now we're going into map number 2. And Maru did not break a sweat in that game number 1.
No, I mean, he had a situation where he finessed out the damage so well that the push just wins.
Yeah.
We could talk about what soO could have done to hold that, but a lot of times, the beating you take beforehand is really what the story is about, and it's certainly true in that one. Guys, we're going to go to Oceanborn. Game 2 with Maru versus soO is starting now.
All right, Team Vitality. Maru spawning in the bottom right is the blue Terran, and soO for Weibo Gaming spawning in the top left as Zerg. Maru once again going for the low ground expand, and I still feel a little bit of whiplash tasteless from the last game. I was not expecting that to have the potential to just kill soO straight up, despite the damage he took in the early game. I mean, that was a crazy move from Maru.
Oh, bring it back up, bring it back up. From Malaysia. All right. Thank God we can read it in time. Sometimes I bring it up and I don't read it in time. I go, I don't know. Sorry. We're going to get any more at the start here. By the way, it's going to be the same, at least for the first couple moves, the same opening. But let's see if it's going to be the same results. You know, if he goes for Reapers again, you got to imagine soO's going to be more prepared to not, you know, fumble his 2 queens.
Especially here on Oceanborn, that third base isn't quite as far away, or at least it doesn't feel as far away because you don't have those 2 ramps to go down and up. Here's a Zerg player. So Maru, I would expect him to play maybe a little bit more conservatively in terms of Reaper. Probably won't see the 4 Reaper we saw in game number 1. Maybe a little bit less and a little bit faster tech, but we'll have to wait and see what Terran's going to bring to this one. For soO, that's a very rocky start to a day that's going to be literally nothing but ZVTs.
Yeah, I do feel like everybody else watching that is probably pretty relaxed. You know, as the Terran players, like, oh yeah, he's gonna be a free meal coming in here. I am more hyped about the games with the TVTs here because I feel like there's going to be a lot of prep in that, and all these Terran players are really good and really different. So.
Yeah, it should be pretty crazy, especially considering we had some really interesting TVT metas starting to develop, both at Dallas and also in some of the earlier stages of GSL. I'm thinking back to that Maru game. I can't remember who he was playing against, but he went into that super fast Skymech style of TVT, which was just insane, like leaning so heavily into the Vikings, getting up to battlecruisers so quickly. And so with that meta starting to develop, or at least become more popularized here in Korea, I'm wondering how it's going to play here with so many TVT matchups in the pipeline as soO actually getting a ton of damage on that first Reaper. 16 HP as Maru is continuing to pump them out. We'll go back into 4 Reapers again. soO maybe with a little bit of PTSD is probably going to be a bit more conservative trying to defend this third hatchery. I wonder if Maru might actually just get the cancel.
I mean, if he gets the cancel, it's still a win. By the way, 3rd CC down here. Again, I do feel like the decision here to get the 3rd CC is probably related to the success of the same push in the last game. He's going to wait, and he gets the 4th Reaper. By the way, how many games do we have where it's a 4th Reaper every time?
Yeah, and he's doing it 2 games in a row. This time just going straight to the natural expansion. That's where the Lings are.
Dude, he can just get in the main.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of an overextension. We'll see. Actually, no, Drone's already going down.
Well, we never see the run by.
Yeah, this is good.
So maybe he just wants to suicide it here because you can get drone kills. They can't really stop this unless they're really good at planting. Like, well, hold on. Is he going to get... He's going to get 5? Are you kidding me?
It's a lot of drones.
Oh, he's getting the last drone here.
Oh, he's blocking the extractor. He can't get the store crawler down for whatever reason. 6 drones. I think you take that trade there as Terran.
Dude, okay, so there's 2 major things that happen. The obvious first one is the 6 drone kills, okay? So he pops up there, and it's smart because we know that he succeeded in actually killing the 2 queens last time. So you would, I think you and I were imagining it was going to be the same kind of push, right? And he's going to try to get queens again. But then he realizes that soO is probably going to have the rest of his main undefended and just runs in there and gets drones that way. And on top of that, he went for a 3rd CC. So, like, Maru is ahead in every possible metric.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool play there by Maru. And he's actually even rallying these Marines cross map, which is not something you expect to see this early on in the game. I guess he spotted that soO wasn't going to have too many Lings out on the map, and soO is still just droning. 12 drones in production at this moment as he feels really confident against this Marine push. Now, soO does have that Overlord in the middle that's been just watching the the Marines trickle across the map. And they are going to shut down some of the creep, but soO, with that Overlord position, he's not really getting caught off guard by this. And I think Maru kind of wants to scare him into producing a lot of units at this stage, but instead, soO is making nothing but drones. And I'm almost wondering if this is too many drones at this point. He's about to go up to the 60 to the 40 SCVs of Maru.
I mean,
Sim's almost done, Tasteless.
Yeah,
Roaches are only just now beginning in production.
I feel like we normally see ByuN do this move, but yeah, it's going to be just kind of a stim bust. High risk, high reward, because, you know, if it doesn't work, it completely backfires and nothing can retreat. Oh, is he not going to go in yet?
He's biding his time, and this is going to play into suO's favor with these roaches coming out on the map.
Yeah, I kind of thought he would just stim and run in and start to mow down the queens and the drones, but I guess he also did take a third base, right? I mean, you kind of can't have your cake and eat it here. So he just moved out, and I guess he'll come back home, or is he going to reinforce this? What exactly is going on here? He's waiting for 1-1.
Yeah, he's still just staying in the middle of the map. I guess at this point with that army here, as Maru, you're not really afraid of a big swarm of lings, and the roaches can't chase you down that well until they get roach speed.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of applying some pressure, getting some scouting done.
You just got to be a little bit careful when you do stuff like this, because it can become a position where you can't recover. Like, let's say he did get lings or did get roaches with speed. You just kill all this. You don't have any way to medevac boost out of there.
Yeah, but going back to the early game with those Reapers, he spotted that soO wasn't going for that super fast speed. And also pushing forward with the Marines like that, he knew that soO wasn't continuously building lings to try and parry the aggression. So really a smart move by Maru, just levying some pressure, but also, oh, by the way, that Reaper catching two creep tumors, so clutch. But smart by soO also to not overreact to it. He droned almost freely all the way up to 70. He recognized he only needed the queens for defense, that the roaches were going to do enough. And as a result, despite losing 6 drones really early on in this game, soO has kind of worked his way into a pretty strong position here in the middle of the match. I think it all comes down to how well he's going to be able to defend this aggression coming out from Maru, because now combat shields is done. These 2 medevacs are on the field. There isn't too much to support these Ravagers. I say that, more roaches come in, so Maru will have to evacuate. But again, this army for soO, it is not very mobile. There's a very low number of lings, if any, and ling speed isn't even done. So the roach split's going to have to be very good here for soO.
Okay, not bad so far. He's actually managed to take out the queen, some roaches, another Ravager. You can see there's just enough sustain here with these Marines that it's not a great fight for the Zerg. Obviously, Marines were killed off, but they're way more expendable than the Ravagers, the queens that were already picked.
Yeah, positioning not fantastic here for soO. So 9 more drones going down, as well as a queen, a Ravager. That's a lot of damage, and soO actually going very quickly into a hive.
Yeah, now the hive tech, it started, but that means there probably won't be much happening here other than Roach Ravager in the meanwhile. And I see another push coming out. I don't see tanks with this yet, unless I missed them in the medevacs. No, they're empty. So this could be a little bit scary. Now, granted, there are no tanks with the push right now. They're still back at home, and Roach Ravager is actually pretty good at just sniping tanks. There's still a decent amount of Marauders and Marines here. I think Maru's still looking pretty strong. He could probably take some pretty big swings at this position that we're looking at right here.
I think Maru could potentially just kill soO with a push or 2 like this one. I mean, he's about to have 2-2 finish against almost no upgrades here for soO. +1 range attack only just now finished, but there is a lot of Roach Ravager on the ground, enough to push this army away. But look at the army that Maru has mustered back at home. 2 siege tanks being added in. 2-2 is done to just the +1 range attack here of soO. And Maru, with just 1 good engagement, might be able to turn this game on its head before the hive tech is done.
You know, yeah, it seems like this is perfectly engineered to hit before hive tech really kicks in. So the hive is going to be ready, but he doesn't have the tech behind it that he needs to maybe try to fight this. So the push is going to come up. The tanks are very conservatively placed far away.
Yeah, but this is an insane army coming out from Maru. And keep in mind, the army supply is actually favoring the Terran, despite Zerg going into Roach Ravager, which is the least supply-efficient army composition in the game, more or less. So Maru really with a big power spike right now in the mid-game. He's setting up the siege tanks in front of the 3rd base. soO with an arc going to try and come in. The Baling's getting blocked by the roaches. He's going to have to retreat and try and reset up this angle of attack as Maru's just stationing himself right outside this. Baling's coming in on the flank. Baling's in the front as well. There's a big clump of Marines in the center, but there will be no connections. The Baling's only hitting the Marauders in the front line, and so Maru is standing strong here.
Yeah, the position destabilizes. Maru dives in. He's got a lot of room to keep kiting. The tanks are very safely tucked far, far away, basically out of reach of corrosive bile. A reposition is going to come in. It looks like he's fanning out half his army to the left, the other half to the right. Well, I say that, and he pulls back over here, basically trying to look for a weaker position and a good spot to try to cover the tanks. There is an expansion to the top right of this push. Oh my God, he actually unsieges those tanks and gets him out in time.
And a nice defense there by soO. He didn't really get the bailing connections he was hoping for, but being able to have enough forces on the ground and have as good an engagement as he did is going to buy him a little bit of time. Now Maru on the top side going to be taking this trade. I'm surprised he's not lifting up and running away. That's a big army from soO. Some good bailing connections on the left side as well. As Maru, I think he wanted to take down this expansion that you pointed out, Tasteless, but soO catching him in the middle of the map, and soO has basically navigated the era of this game that was going to be the most difficult for him. When Maru had 2-2 to basically no upgrades for soO, while soO was waiting to get his hype tech online. Now the Ultralisk Cavern has begun. 2 Vipers are on the field. There's a good number of Banelings, Roaches, and Ravagers, and a healthy number of Lings, too, on the ground. And soO is maxed out with 86 drones, so he's been able to survive what seemed like it might be impossible.
Yeah, he's definitely having a better game. This drop comes in here to try to change that. He's going to hit pretty hard. He picks up. He does take out 4 drones. And there's not any kind of anti-air here, so this could basically move unimpeded, which is going to allow these siege tanks to set up really nicely over here. He's still rotating between this base and the bases to the left of this position. But, I mean, honestly, the Medivacs can still stay in the game. He can still try to drop in other spots. He's denied the base at, what, 9 o'clock, and he's going to drop once more in the main. Again, this is going to be a tough few minutes here for soO.
Yeah, the fact that the Lings have so few upgrades makes it really hard to defend right now as soO, but of course the Vipers being able to take down the Medivacs does help a lot, and another engagement coming in. Actually, Maru able to catch the reinforcements coming in from the natural, as this is a good engagement for the Terran. soO is winning the top left side, but besides that, the siege tanks providing so much value in the back line. soO with the Biles is able to get rid of one of them, but besides that, a pretty good trade here from Maru. The main issue right now for Maru, I think, is that soO, he's about to have 5 Ultras pop on the map.
Yeah, the Ultras could allow him to stay in this game, but is he going to bleed off too much as he comes down here and tries to drive this away? I'm seeing more Ravagers and Roaches, which can be a pretty bad situation when you've got this many Marines to stem them down. Lings and Banelings are going to come out, but it's a little bit late. The Zerg is going to hold this push. Well, hold on a second. There's more reinforcements coming up. Ultralisks are out, but it's like just Ultralisks, which are nowhere near as good as if they're accompanied by Lings with Adrenal.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that soO actually went for that engagement, and also coming in with the Ultras right now before their armor upgrade is completed means they're going to take a lot of damage from this +3 bio, and eventually soO is able to stabilize back at home, but the fact that he traded out so many Ravagers and Roaches and Banelings just survived there.
A very dark-S cold. You know, just surviving with the last 2 Ultras coming out. It looks like the game's over, but he, you know, he towed that line. But, you know, we've been focusing on the Zerg side of the map this whole time. Terran is actually basically staying at pace with the Zerg, which is not good long-term. Zerg is supposed to be up by about a base or 2 no matter what.
Yeah, Maru is expanding to his 6th base right now, adding a 2nd factory, producing Ghosts in pretty copious amounts. And soO, this is his real big power spike. He has 9 Ultras on the field right now. He needs to get some damage done. Attacking before this planetary is done is a good beginning here for soO, but the repair barely coming in time, and the Ultras basically get traded out for nothing. The planetary survives. The Bailey connections on the Ghost basically miss, and now Maru just kind of took soO's ace card, these Ultras and the Banelings, and just threw it away. I mean, soO has basically nothing to play with defensively at home right now. He's going to lose this expansion. The Ultras, I'm not sure how much they're going to be able to get done. Maybe take down this one planetary here. But Maru has so many more expansions, so many more orbitals, I don't think he really cares.
Yeah, I mean, the counterattack is great. I think if the SCVs had tried to repair a little bit quicker, that could have been cool. I guess they would have been wiped by the Ultras as well. But, you know, Ultras are being bled off here and there, you know?
Unlucky Ghost.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not able to pick up. But this is being driven away. It's the right tech. It's just maybe not enough of it in time over here. Some nice snipes here.
Ghost barely missing the connection on the snipe as the Ultra runs out of range. And yeah, soO needs some infestors. He needs something to lock down these Ghosts, because if they just keep lifting up into the Medivacs like Maru's been doing, he's never going to get the kill on the key units that he needs. And this is one of the stages of the game where Maru, his army composition, it isn't perfect. The Ghost count is still quite low, even though the upgrades are phenomenal. +3 on the ground for infantry and +2 vehicle attack also for these siege tanks. But soO, in terms of cost efficiency, unless he's able to get these, God, these Ultras also getting taken out, I don't think they're going to kill this planetary Tasteless. This is the window closing, I think, for soO to really battle with Maru in the mid-game. And he's still locked on 4 hatcheries. He's overmining the 4 expansions that he's got. I don't think soO, unless he has a huge fight with Infestor Screw in the middle of the map is going to have a path to victory. He needs a win right now.
Yeah, this is really going to come down to this army that soO has. I think the angling is good enough that the Ultras can't make it work. I don't see any Banelings in this mix. The Ultras get wiped out. Supplies plummet on both sides. Excuse me, these are doing way better than I thought they would.
Yeah.
There was a hidden Ultra under the medevac I did not see. But I don't know that Zerg can actually break this. It just seems like there's barely enough.
Yeah, there isn't enough meat shield for Maru's ghosts right now. Actually, looking at his army, it's 2 Automines, 2 siege tanks, and 7 ghosts, and
so
nothing
funny.
else besides the medevac. So, I mean, this is kind of soO's time
Yeah.
to try and win some fights in the middle of the map and secure those expansions, because if he doesn't, he's completely dead in the water. And that fight outside of Maru's third base was a good start. It wasn't the best engagement he could have taken. As you said, there weren't really that many Banelings, but this is the window where Maru's army is basically just ghost medevac, and he can get some damage done. It's really an interesting composition that we have running here for Maru. I don't know what's going on macro-wise for Maru that's leading to him having basically no Marauders, no Marines. It's a weird style we're seeing right now from Terran.
It's a very different approach for sure. Nice spreading. The Baneling's not really optimized to hit. And we are seeing a big supply recovery. It's remaining scrappy here for Zerg. And pretty soon it's going to be just Queens and Lings. You know, 1 Ultra or 1 Infestor isn't really going to cut it. And it doesn't seem like we're ever going to have the right number of Banes in here again. I think this should be the tipping point. Yeah, there it is. GG. Maru takes game 2. That's going to be a 2-0. Look, an expected, is what I'm trying to say, result. I think soO had a pretty decent performance in game 2. When I look at Maru in a lot of these games, I'm not really sure what the Zerg is supposed to do to fare better.
And even the composition from Maru wasn't that great in the mid game, but just the fact that he was able to relentlessly deny the 4th base and 5th, or the 5th and the 6th base from soO over and over and over again means that soO, despite taking that win in the middle of the map, they just didn't have the economy to really recover and remax and keep pace with Maru, who was basically Zerging in the bottom right corner. He had so many orbitals, so many expansions taken that when you kill a planetary, it doesn't matter. All right, guys, well, we're going to go to a break. When we get back, Cure versus ByuN as Group A continues on. We'll see you in a minute.
Yeah, I'm going for the goal. Where's the throne? That's my spot no matter whatever you told. I don't see no competition, not to mention what I'm posed. Taking over, crashing ceilings, baby, I'ma do the most.